Welcome to Lesson 3 in Unit 3, Make It Go. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, what happens to toys in a collision? In this lesson, students use marbles to investigate what happens when toys collide. Students figure out that when objects collide, they push on each other and this can change motion. Students make connections to the storyline by drawing what happens to a Galimoto in a collision. There are several opportunities for ELA and math cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 3 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 4 to 5 days to complete. To begin the Engage portion, you'll review what students have already figured out about force and motion. You'll show students a video of colliding cars and ask them what they observe and wonder. You'll then revisit the driving question board to add any new questions and highlight others connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about what happens to a toy in a collision. For the Explore portion, you'll prepare the collision investigation. Be sure to see the teacher tutorial slides showing the setup and procedure. As students are completing trials, you'll have them draw pictures and write their results on the Collision Investigation Student Journal page. For the Explain portion, you'll bring the class together and lead a discussion about students' observations from their collision investigation. You'll use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, what happens to toys in a collision? The goal of this class discussion is to analyze and compare student data to determine the change in direction of objects that collide. You'll use the discussion to create the Lesson 3 summary chart. By the end of the discussion, students should understand that when Galimotos collide, they push on one another and can change how the Galimotos are moving. You can add a drawing to help students summarize their learning from the investigation. During the discussion, you'll play a few collision video clips. You'll talk with students about how each collision changes the motion of the cars. And post the collision vocabulary card. For the Elaborate portion, you'll have students draw a picture of a Galimoto colliding with another Galimoto in the Galimoto Collision Drawing Student Journal page. For the Evaluate portion, you'll ask students to pick 2 toys and demonstrate the effects of a collision. You'll ask them to explain what they are doing and how it affects the motion. To support student sense-making across the unit, you'll orient them back to the driving question board. You'll ask, what did we learn about what happens to toys in a collision? And what new questions do we have? You can have students use the self-check form to evaluate their own learning in this section. This is an instructional tool that can be used as a metacognitive practice for students to reflect on their own learning, express their engagement and excitement levels for the topics they have learned so far. This tool will also allow students to reflect on their science identities and community. By the end of this lesson, students will have planned and conducted an investigation involving how toys collide and change motion, and analyzed data from tests of objects that collide. In Lesson 4, students will investigate how following the steps of the engineering design cycle allows them to make their own Galimoto. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.